Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, March 20th, 2023. Yeah, we're 3 weeks into March. And it's cold. I don't like it. I don't get it. I don't want it. Got up this morning, come outside, and it was 26 degrees. 26 in Georgia. What is up with that? That is not a good feeling. That is not a good feeling. And especially when you're trying to do paint work and stuff. Nope. Ain't gonna happen. Just ain't gonna happen. Now I have taken advantage of the nicer weather over the past week when I can and address some things with the Bronco, getting some primer on it, getting some paint on this is the backside of the grill that you see behind me. I talked with the owner and he was like, yeah, I'd like to have that painted. So I said, okay, fine. So I at least got that much done. Now, with that, it just happened to be the weather it wasn't really warm enough, let's say, but it was maybe warm enough just to take care of that small piece. I wouldn't want to do the whole vehicle all at one time. So I was able to get that taken care of. But still, 26 degrees this morning. That was not comforting, not at all. Now I will say that it's predicting a much better week, let's say. I think in the Thursday high of 79, Friday high of 79, Saturday high of 78, and it kind of drops off after that into the middle of next week. So that's a good thing. That's going to help out a lot. What I'm thinking I will try to do is address the Raptor liner that I'm going to put on the engine bay. I may try to take care of that before I do any more paint work. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but in my mind, I think it does, because then I can just mask all that stuff off and leave it alone. You know, the timeline is getting shorter. I've got about a month to finish this. And, you know, I try to be proactive in thinking that what if something does go wrong? I need to have time to fix it. If I'm wrong and everything goes smooth, all the better. All the better. So anyway, I hope you all had a good week and weekend. I know that my patrons out there did not put out a video. Basically, there was really not much to talk about. You know, this process is ongoing with the Bronco, and it's kind of repeating itself. So I said, you know, it's just not fair to put out a video like that. But I have been doing other things in the shop as well, and I've done several brake jobs, which I need to talk about, by the way, in a minute. Remind me if I don't bring it up, but we need to talk about the Mazda, and also an oil change and various other things and stuff, you know, as it is. I'm always doing something. So anyway, let's see who's here tonight. First in, Ed Cucciarella, and he was here at 5:54, so he gets the early bird check-in. Glad you're here, Ed. Rick Gain checking in from New Jersey. Hello, everybody. On the first day of spring, it should not be this cold. Yes, I agree 100%. Not liking it. Steve Grimes, good evening all from Spring Lake, Southern Pennsylvania. Glad you're here, Steve, and I'm glad you got your compressor fixed. We could talk about that if you want, but it's up to you. Terry Keithley, happy spring, everyone. Please hit the like and thumbs up button for Barry. Thank you kindly. Yes. Thank you. Jerry, checking in from the Money Pit, Middle Tennessee. Click the thumbs up for Barry's channel. Yes. Thank you, Jerry. Dave Tyson, checking in. Good evening, all. Glad you're here, Dave. And Robert, the Infernal Craftsman, checking in from Texas, which I'm sure it's warmer there than it is here. Let's see. Troy Justit, happy Monday from Coastal Georgia. I like Monday nights. I don't have to talk to the wife for a couple of hours. Okay. Busted Knuckle Garage, Tommy, Alabama checking in. Cold. Yes. Yeah, and hopefully it's going to pick up, like I said, in the next couple days. Definitely need the warmer weather. Mr. Mikey checking in. Best regards to the crew from cool 61 degrees South Texas. That would be a very nice temperature to have right now. And Nandu, Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. And I believe you're up in Pennsylvania as well, so glad you're here, Nandu. Rick Stevenson, checking in. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're here, Rick. Got my coffee going. Thank you. Bob Shoemaker. Good evening, all from Windy, Oklahoma. Glad you're here, Bob. And Dave Conville. First Dave sighting. Good evening, all. Glad you're here, Dave. Also checking in from New Jersey. Okay. So, what I've run into, and I'll go ahead and bring it up now, since I was talking about the Mazda. I learned something. And if I can share information with you, all the better. So, let's see. Whoop, Robert. Yeah, he says last freeze of the year yesterday. Cool feeling 55 today, but 70 and 80s for the rest of the week. Yeah, I'll take that. But I want to share some information. So I was working on a 2017 Mazda 3. It needed rear brake pads, front brake pads, and a rotor on the left rear. So, my typical process is I'll start, it doesn't matter where I start, left front, right front, whatever, take care of the front and move to the back. And, or depending on how I'm feeling, I may start in the back. It doesn't really matter much. And you all know that when I do a brake job, I do it like kind of the old school way. Let's say old school in that sense, where you compress a caliper piston back in and it pushes fluid back into the master cylinder. And I've had people say, hey, you don't do that because modern vehicles, blah, 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 ABS, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. And I haven't had any issues with any of that. I haven't. I also have talked to people who now, I guess, more modern cars are requiring, so to say, a fluid change in the brakes, right? They want you to put fresh fluid in every 60,000 miles or something like that, depending on the manufacturer. I have somebody lives up the street from me. They were asking me about that a couple weeks ago, and I said, well, I can do it. I can do it. I know I can do it cheaper than the Honda dealer will do it, but it's not something I really want to do. But again, I can do it. So anyway, the thought being that if you are working the caliper, and if I did my normal compression, old style, I would push the old fluid back up into the master cylinder and siphon out whatever I don't need out of the reservoir. Well, as I'm doing this, I recognize that the piston on the rear caliper looks like one of those where you have to cam it in, where you have to screw it back in basically. And I had the thought process of, renting one of those kits from the auto parts store, brought it home, and I started trying to use it, and I thought, something's not right here. On this particular Mazda, it had 3 grooves cut into the piston. All the other ones I've seen in the past only have 2 grooves, right? So in the tools, they only have 2 posts that you can put in, and then you rotate it, and it compresses in as you go. And I thought, well, this is kind of weird, right? So I kept looking at it. And I was trying to compress it, and I was trying to turn it, and it wasn't working. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that you're doing something stupid. Stop. And one of the giveaways was with the boot system, like it wasn't made to really turn around the piston. So I started, I used the old internet, and I did some research on it. And as it turns out, that car had, I knew this. I knew it had electric parking brakes, but I did not realize the electric parking brakes would be a problem with changing the brake pads. So I looked, and I found that you have to put the car in service mode. Well, there's a great video on it. Guy he does a good job, and it's a sequence thing, right? Sequence is scored, as I always say. So like it had to push button start. You had to like tap that button 3 times, hold the gas pedal down, push on the parking brake thing, and you'd hear the motor cycle and they would release. Once I did that, the pistons collapsed, no problem. Boom. And then I reversed the process, swapped out the parts, and hit the whatever button sequence it was, and put it back into drive mode. But that's just a lesson. That's just a lesson. I'm so used to working on brake systems, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, where it was really simple and it really didn't require any special attention, right? And now I've got to consider, oh, wait a minute, this thing has some different features and functions. Now, along those lines, let me tell you this. I have a friend of mine. He has a fairly new Ford truck. And this is how bizarre some of this stuff is with these new vehicles. He has a fairly new, I guess, F-150, and a piece of debris came off the road and hit the grill and busted the grill. He figures, hey, I can fix it myself. I'm not going to take it to the dealer, whatever. He orders a grill that's an aftermarket grill, puts it in, and as he's putting the grill in and swapping over pieces and parts, he notices something that looks like I think he said it looked like a little horn or something. And he's like, I don't know what that is, but I'll hook it up. As soon as he did all that, swapped everything out, it turns out that was a crash detection sensor. And it won't work with the aftermarket grill. So here he has this warning every time he starts the vehicle. Warning, starts the vehicle. Warning, starts the vehicle. Warning. He's like, oh. So he finally took it to the dealer, said, hey, what's the deal? And they said, you can't use this grill, not with this system. If you didn't have this system, it would have worked, but you're going to need the factory grill or whatever. So he was just like, fine, whatever, fix it. But stuff like that is what it makes it difficult for any of us, let's say old school, but even as we progress into the current timeline, that those sort of oddities can really cause a problem. And that's why I appreciate old cars even more. Go back to my Model A where it's just so simple, there's hardly anything that you can mess with compared to with these modern vehicles where there's just electronics and stuff everywhere. So anyway, Crash Rider checking in. Spring is here. Greetings from Southern Indiana. Hit the like button, please. Yes. Thank you, sir. And Robert says, I need a scan tool that has a rear caliper retraction function. See, that's what I'm talking about. And it really wasn't that it retracted the pistons. It only retracted the motors. So that was the thing that I didn't realize until after messing with that. Harvey checking in, Rally Cat Garage. Happy Monday. Hello, Barry. Glad you're here. Charles Busby, evening, everyone. 57 degrees after 32 this morning. Worst part, had to move 45 potted plants inside and then back out for just a few hours of cold. Now it will take a week for my back to heal. Yes, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. 45 potted plants? Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the high today was only 54 here. So I am looking forward to much more moderate weather coming up over the next week. Let's see. Car Guy Troy. Evening all. Hope all is well. Glad you're here, Troy. Cool little thumbnail you got going on there. Nick. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nick. Glad you're here. Got your Bronco in the, I think, looks like a Bronco in the thumbnail. Mr. Mikey, 2022 Ford Ranger taillight I heard cost $1,200 each from dealer. Easy theft items from 4 local hoodlums. Man, I'm not surprised. Look at how they, I don't know if they still do, but how many tailgates they were stealing, right? Those are disappearing for quite some time. Yeah, $1,200 for a taillight. No, ridiculous. Nick just changed the strings on my Les Paul guitar. Well, okay, that's cool. I've done that before, but on a bass, really. Just smash the like button. Thanks, sir. Michael Peglerine, the same process works on Fords with a push button start. Yes, right. Now, see, I don't know if they all have that same tap, 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 hit this, push that, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know how, if they all have their own little sequence, but yeah, it worked. And speaking of I have to tell you about something else that I just took care of today. Clark Clifford, I have arrived. Glad you're here, Clark. We saved the neck for you. Troy Justin here on the coast. We got 61 today. We will get to 80 by Thursday. Yes. And Steve, my sister's 19 Nissan had a crank, no start issue, turned over good, ended up needing a battery. Yeah. Yeah, even the voltage is critical on these things. The other thing that comes to mind, you've probably seen it before. I think I've done videos on it. My wife has a 2013 Honda Odyssey van. And I don't know the specific code. I don't remember. But we had a check engine light on. And it was one of those where it stays on. You know, you can hit it's got a like information button on the steering wheel, and it turns the main thing off. There's still a little light. And she has, the emissions test is due next month. And, I started looking up the codes, and it said, whatever, beyond something threshold, bank 1, bank 2, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. So I start researching a little bit. And, of course, I use the good old internet. And it pops up and says, yeah, this is a problem that these have where the catalytic converter gets dirty. And there are like 3 ways to fix it. One way was to take the catalytic converters off, of course, and replace them, right? That's one option. Don't want to do that. Second option was to remove them, soak them in a soapy solution to let the contaminants break loose from the inner, structure of the converter, and then clean them out. Okay, that's a possibility. And then the third one I looked up, it said use a catalytic converter cleaner, like that you dump in your gas tank. Okay, that's my cheapest option. That's one I'm just going to gamble on and see what happens. So what I ended up doing was I went on the old Amazon and I bought, let me see if I can find it. I bought a bottle of Rizlone Cat Complete Fuel Exhaust and Emission System Cleaner, pack of 1. And it was like, let me see what the details were. It was $25. It's $26, right? And the instructions on that tell you to run your gas tank down to about a quarter of a tank, dump the full bottle in, drive it 20 or 30 miles, trying to get up to highway speeds, take it, go to the gas station and refill it with gas, and then drive it another X number of miles and see what happens. Basically, is kind of how it's worded. So I did that. I put the stuff in Sunday morning. We went for a drive, put on about 20, 30 miles, and then the light stayed on. But that evening, we ended up going and getting gas anyway because my car needed gas and her van needed gas. So I said, meet me at the gas station and we'll see what happens. Well, she gets in it to drive off and the light's off. Yay! That was a good deal. So apparently that stuff worked. It cleaned whatever it needed to clean. I took it to the emissions test today and got it taken care of. And so, yay, now we can get to pay for the tag and all that junk. But that's good news. That was good news. I was very happy that stuff worked. So if you ever run into that situation, again, it was Rizlone Cat Complete. I can say it worked. It saved the day. So, let's see here. Michael Peglerini, yes, Ford and Mazda. Okay, that's good to know. And the Dawn, almost missed Cars and Coffee. Hello, everyone. Hello, Dawn. Glad you're here. There was something else that I was going to mention. Oh, here we go. Car Guy Troy, voltage is a big deal on the newer cars. No splicing into wires for accessories, trailer plugs, or any of that. Messes up the whole car. Every light on the dash will come on. Pretty touchy. Yes, and I'm not a fan. Now, I will say, more than likely, all those, not necessarily like speakers or accessories, but like if you wanted to have a trailer plug-in, it probably has the wiring already there. Probably. You would hope. Probably. Michael, P04210420, make sure the air duct is not cracked on the underside. Okay. Sounds like you've got some familiarity with that. Troy, we don't have the emissions on the east side of Georgia, just the inland areas. Well, it's really just the metropolis areas. Like a lot of them in South Georgia don't have anything either. It's just around Atlanta. That's their focus for cashing in. That's yeah, cashing in. So you know if you can register your vehicle in really 2 counties away from me, yeah, no problem. You're good to go. No problem. But you know it's all revenue. We know how that works. Let's see. Oh, that's the thing. If you haven't checked out, you know, in Don's Manufactory, Don is usually on here. I know he's been busy working on Betsy, and he's got his Mustang, and he has put out a couple of cool videos recently on the on driving lights. Now, we all know that there are variations out there. Like you've seen probably the Shelby style fiberglass front end where it has accessory holes, and you can buy the bumper, you know, the fiberglass piece. You can probably buy the inserts for the lights and all that sort of thing. But Don, he made his own. And when I say he made his own, he made the whole sleeve, he made the bezel, he made the cutouts, he did all the work to make the pieces fit his front valance. So it was really cool to see how he did that. I'm really, he's done a lot of cool stuff on that car, and his bracing and add-ons are all going to be a benefit for him, as I know he's going to want to, you know, get that car back out and drag race it and stuff. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to share something else with y'all. This past weekend, we've been busy with a lot of family things, but we moved our oldest son, his wife, and their 2 kids, moved them into their newer house that they bought. So that was good. But our younger son, or our middle child, he couldn't help. He had a competition that he was going to. Now, I'm just going to give you some details because this is one of those, you know, kind of proud dad things, right? I've said it before. My oldest son is an engineer, and my other son is, well, he was a police officer for about 6 months, and then he's currently a full-time firefighter. So he went to a powerlifting competition. He does powerlifting on the side. And I'm just going to show you this picture so you can see. Okay. To give you some perspective, he is about 5'9" and 159 pounds. Smaller than Dad, that's for sure. 159 pounds. But I'll just give you some information because I'm just amazed at what he's been able to do. Okay, so he did. He went to this competition. He sent personal PR or personal records for his personal record, right? So he did. His squat was 446 pounds. He bench pressed 314 pounds, and that deadlift that you see right there, that's 507 pounds. Let me tell you, to weigh 159 pounds, that's impressive. So I'm giving my son a shout out. And he also won the award for Best Male Lifter at the event. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. So anyway, I just had to brag on my younger son for a moment. Let's see, her Scrambler. One nice thing about electric cars, no emissions lights anymore. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. The emissions light comes on when you buy it. Of all the stuff that's been generated prior is already have the light on. Let's see. Dave Tyson, Minnesota had testing in 80. After 5 years, it was done. No more testing. Yes, that's good. Nick, never had to do an emission test on my Mustang. It's too old. Yes, that's the thing. In Georgia, it's 25 years old is the limit. I think it's 25 years now. Yeah, yeah. 20 anything in the past 25 years has to be tested. So, Robert, my back hurts just looking at that picture. Let me tell you. I mean, that's pretty impressive to me. Because, like, if you didn't see him dressed like that, or doing that kind of thing, you would not picture him lifting that much weight. Trust me, you just wouldn't. Um, Mr. Mikey, kudos to you and your son. Thank you, sir. Jerry, hi, hey Barry, howdy y'all. Yeah, yeah. Congrats to your son. I think I'm going to get Robert to start working out. He is working out. He's working out in the garage, just like me. The Dawn, congratulations to your son. Thank you, sir. And Troy, congrats to your son doing that. That ain't easy. Pretty cool. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's something I never would have considered doing myself. I know that growing up with in the junkyard, my dad had, his junkyard, of course. My brother was way stronger than me. He did some really insane things and never lifted weights, but he lifted cars. That was his thing. He was always lifting the heavy stuff. And there's a certain, I guess, like if you look at farm boys, right? A lot of farm boys are just strong. There is no doubt, especially the old school farm boys, where they had to do all the heavy lifting and stuff like that. So it was an inherent strength. It wasn't a groomed or developed strength. It was like that's just how they are, you know. And I think that there's a lot of us in the modern society are not in that realm. It's just not a requirement. But the industries that require that, it's like a brick mason. You don't want to try to squeeze the life out of a brick mason's hand. You'll lose. You'll just lose. Those guys, that's what they do. That's all they do is grip, 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 grip. Heavy construction people that swing big hammers and all that sort of thing. Those kind of activities were it just develops that kind of strength that you just can't compete with. They also talk about old man strength, right? Well, there's things with that too, where you'll see instances where, I'm not saying my age, but somebody maybe older than me or not, whatever, and some young buck comes along and thinks he's got something to show, and the old man just said, "Okay, fine, boom, I'm done. I'm not playing." But it's just a developed thing. So, anyway, I'm really impressed with what he's been able to do. Nick, my Mustang is 67. Never had to get it checked. Yeah. Well, emissions testing didn't develop even here in Georgia until probably in the 90s. So, yeah, anything old like that, never had tested. Jerry doesn't like my comment. Yeah, we're all working out. Steve, your brother was very strong, especially when upset. Valid. Yes. and you may have only seen him upset in the racing world. Let me tell you, he was scary when he was upset. Yes, that's the only time I've ever seen, and I may have mentioned this before. I watched him after a phone conversation. I didn't actually watch him. I heard him after a phone conversation. The old style handset telephone. Had the earpiece and the mouthpiece down the bottom. Those things are designed basically to be indestructible. Yeah, not according to my brother. He grabbed that thing, the mouthpiece, mouth part and the headpiece, and snapped that thing in half because he was so angry, and just also destroyed the rest of the phone. But let me tell you, that's not something normal. That's not something you just do. I wouldn't even try. I just hurt my hand trying to do that, just a twisting motion. Felt something go. Ah. All right, time for a nap. Dave Tyson lifted a lot of trains in my day. Yes. Well, see, and there's a trade-off. We'll put it that way too. There is a trade-off. I know that the experiences I had in the military, jumping out of planes, carrying massive amounts of weight, road marching, sleeping on the ground, all those things. Those, while it didn't affect me then. Now it is haunting me. Same way with a lot of these things that we did in that sense, where it's coming back to get us. There's just no way around it. You can only abuse your body just so much. Just so much. Charles despised new car electronics. '08 Chrysler 300 with Hemi and multi-displacement system. Codes, cylinder misfire. Visual shows valves quit opening while running. Also does same thing in a crank mode. Yeah. I don't, '08, yeah. And he says $700 in diagnostics, and they don't know. Yeah, that's really confusing. Whenever you have something like that the dealership, let's say, is supposed to go, "Oh, we can fix it. Sure, just start throwing money at us, and then we'll figure it out." But that's never a good feeling. Whenever they're going, we don't know. Have you tried hitting it with a hammer? Just keep hitting it. Remember that commercial? Guy was trying to put a battery in I forget what it was, auto parts store commercial where the guy's trying to put the battery in doesn't fit. He pulls out a hammer and the guy says, "Just keep hitting it." Just keep hitting it. Oh, I have one other thing I want to show you. Just because, I mentioned about military stuff, right? And we ate MREs and what they called tray packs, and we would have really bad coffee, and we'd take stuff to the field with us, ravioli and whatever in a can, and try to get our own food if we had to. I don't know when I started eating this, but this is you'd probably laugh at this. This is something I haven't had in the last few years simply because I couldn't find it. Right? I'm going to show you a picture. This is one of my, I guess one of my favorite canned foods. So that is Campbell's split pea with ham and bacon. You see the spoon sticking out of it. That's right. I don't even heat it up. I don't add water. I don't do anything. I just eat it right out of the can. I don't know, just what I do. Troy, when the Cheekums hit us with an EMP, our old Mustangs will still be running. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. The Model A should be anyway. Robert, '06, they started cylinder deactivation on the Hemi, but I have no experience working on them. Yeah. Yeah, we used to call that the trade light. When a trade light would come on. Yep, square peg, round hole. Just keep hitting it. Yep. Clark Clifford, awesome soup. It is. It is. And my local store, Kroger, they quit carrying it like 3 or 4 years ago. And I would go to other stores around the area and I couldn't find it. And I was like, did they stop producing this stuff? And Kroger said, well, if you want it, request it. Contact the company and maybe we'll get it in here. I'm like, you had it in here. But I found another store. I think it's Whole Foods. I think it's Whole Foods. I happened to be there the other day. I walked in. Boom! There it was. Okay. There's my soup. Got it. Lawrence. I guess Ike. I'm going to say Ike. Every supermarket seems to have it. Ask a manager's department. They can order it for you. Yes. Well, that was the thing. The Kroger had it, and they said they could probably get it again, but I was like, I don't know why you got rid of it in the first place. Just really good soup to me. So, okay, other things going on. As you can see behind me, I have the tailgate. I don't know. I think I had that up here before, but what I did manage to do a little seam sealing around the flange. I wasn't going to do it at first, and the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like it. So I ended up doing seam sealing around those edges. Just wanted it cleaner. I did some body work on the main body on the quarters, where I'd done repair work before, and I sanded that out, made sure that was nice and smooth. Of course, the grill, like I said, prepped the backside, painted it, and clear coated that. Now that's going to be probably a little bit of a hassle down the road, obviously, simply because I want that bolted with spacers to the front fenders. I want it sitting there just because I want to make sure my flow pattern is correct on the paint. Now, it could be, I could hang it on something, but I don't know. I don't have anything to hang it from. Let's put it that way. So I'd rather bolt it to the front fenders and just do it. So I'm going to have to back mask the whole thing, kind of like I did with the primer. Back mask the whole thing, and just be careful with it. But I want to be able to take care of all that. So with that in mind, as I said earlier, I want to try to, if not in the next day or two, do the Raptor bedliner stuff on the engine bay in the Bronco. I think if I get all that done, and I was actually looking that up as well earlier about the process, and they talk about just scuffing the metal, basically shooting it with an epoxy, and then coming right back in a brief period of time and spraying it with the Raptor. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. And I'm hoping to get that part done. Now, the other part in the back where I plan to put Raptor or bedliner material is going to come after paint. Because I don't like the idea of trying to spray that stuff because it's going to be body color and then trying to mask it. I don't think that makes sense. So I'm going to have to do it afterwards. So the tailgate will have to be done, like I'll be painting the tailgate off the vehicle and then come back in. I'll turn it around because it'll turn around easy on my stand and be able to do the back side, or the inside, let's say, with the bedliner material. Clark, Amazon has it for $28, 12 pack. So that's too expensive, right? That's over $2 a can. No, that's too high. Whole Foods had it for $180. I think it was $180. Yeah. Thanks, Clark, but that's too high. Robert, that grill almost looks gold versus green with that web camera. Yeah, let me see if I can. It's definitely green. We talked about green before, right? I'll bring it a little closer. I don't know if it helps or not. Yeah. Can't really get much more light on it than what I have right here, so. But it's green. Limestone green is the color. All right, hold on. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. If it does, you'll be the first to know. Uh, Pete, when do you get to the Mustang, mate? I pushed on with our 67 interior like a madman. Greetings from Maryland, me. Well, I won't be finishing the or getting back to the Mustang probably at this point until I finish the Bronco. I've got to get it in paint so it can be taken away. But once the Bronco is done, that'll be my sole focus is the fastback. So, Rick, well, at least the grill doesn't look blue. Yes, I agree. And Troy, the grill looks green on my monitor. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I could see where you could. From this distance, you can see what it could be. Could be gold. I get it. And Lawrence, it looks split pea green to me. Yeah. And Clark, that isn't blue at all. No, nope, it's not aqua. That's for sure. It is limestone green. I think 1973 or 74. So, anyway, that's where that's at. I know there's several other small pieces that I'm going to have to address to make sure they're ready to go for the Bronco. The plan is to use stainless steel hinges that will be the removable type of hinges. But the difficulty with that is, how do you paint that? Because you want the stainless steel to stay shiny. You don't want it to be painted. So what I'm going to do is prep the hinges to be the regular hinges to be painted on the doors and the car, on the body. And then once everything is done, those hinges have to come off and the stainless hinges have to go on and swap all that stuff out. So it's one of those things. Again, I don't know. I mean, I know several people on here paint, and I've said it before. Painting is not my priority. It's sheet metal work. So when I'm doing this stuff, and I did plenty of prep work at the body shop, plenty, and some painting even at the body shop. But when you have a limited space like I do, you don't have a massive paint booth with all the features and functions of a great big paint booth. Then the challenge is, how do you sequence it? How do you get everything lined up to do what you need to do? Because the Bronco itself, it's gonna have to stay in the paint booth. I can't push it in and out, so I have to work around the process. That's why I'm gonna paint the hood. I did the underside already. I'm gonna prep the top and paint it, and then also probably paint the windshield frame, and the other part that I may do at the same time, maybe the front. No, it won't be the grill. What was the other piece I was thinking of? There was another part that I was thinking of that could go with that. Because he wants the gas cap painted. He sent me 3 gas caps. So I have to get those ready to go, to spray those, to get the color on those as well. There's some speaker panels. That was the other thing. He has these kick panels. These are pretty cool. But they came, I guess, in a more of a gel coat black. So these are going to go whichever direction they go, up underneath on the sides. So I'm going to have to prep these and get them painted as well. So there's lots of little things that you have to, again, sequence. You have to go through the process. What makes sense? What's going to make this work properly? And of course, the idea is whatever I paint needs to stay within the same pattern. So if you're doing 3 coats, you need to make sure you get 3 coats here, 3 coats there. Everything's flowed out correctly. So anyway, you get what I'm saying. Mr. Mikey, 67 Mustang color was Diamante green. So I don't know if that's the same as the limestone, because I don't know that I've seen a Mustang with that green on it. I mean, I that's a truck green in my mind. I don't know if I've ever seen it on a car. And Nick, my Mustang is woman in white with black interior. That's nice. That's a nice combo. Michael, I have a Mustang. Question: does the rear floor pan go over the top plate for the torque box, or does the plate go on top of the floor pan? Um, the way I see it, like if you were putting in the one piece full floor pan, not the full frame pan, but the interior pan, the one piece. To me, it has to sit. It all sits on top. There's no way around it. Um, if I'm thinking about the same, the rear floor pan go over the top plate. Yeah, it goes on top. Now, the difference is like the firewall goes underneath. The pan sits on top of the firewall. Part of that is water, like creating a lip or not creating a lip to catch water. But the pan itself, everything sits on top on the inside. At least that's all I've ever seen. So if anybody else has any input on that, but I don't see it any other way. It all sits on top. So, um, where's torque box? Yeah. I mean, I think it's the only way. I think it's well. Maybe there's another way to do it, but that's the only way I've seen it done. So, good question. Good question. Nick, the '67 Mustang color green was dark moss green or Highland green. Okay. Yeah, that's not the same. I'm pretty sure that's not the same. I know that they would change names every so often. They give it different. Like the Gulfstream Aqua in either earlier or later years was bright blue poly. In fact, that's what it says on the can. I think bright blue poly, but it's Gulfstream Aqua. It's aqua. It is not blue. So, hey, keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. I have some other things I want to talk about, but keep bringing up any kind of questions you have, because that helps with the whole conversation thing. There's only so much that I can keep in my mind going at one time. Okay. Harvey sent me a picture. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pull that up and see if I can't add that to the So let me make sure I don't have any. There's not anything on here that I don't want to share. That's okay. That'll be fine. So this is a little screenshot, and the question is, the kid's coming home from school. Looks like a Far Side cartoon. Hi, honey. Did you enjoy the drag strip? What did they think of your EV powered car? I don't think they've thought very highly of it. So, anyway, thank you, Harvey. Clark, do you still have your blue-green camera issue? I don't think so. I mean, it probably does, but it's not this green. The Gulfstream Aqua plays tricks on the camera. I will say that. But not with this one. This one feels pretty accurate. Nick, the Bullet Mustang, is that Highland Green, the one Steve McQueen drove? Yes, I believe that was Highland Green. I believe so. Okay, so here's something else I wanted to mention. I'm always interested in obscure or one-off or created vehicles, right? And I was looking at some videos earlier today, and there's several out there that they discuss these oddball vehicles that either were actually manufactured or they were maybe one-offs and stuff like that. Now, I can't tell you the exact name of this place. Apparently, there's some place up in, I'm guessing, the Nashville area that has these unique. There's a museum with a whole bunch of unique vehicles in it. They had this. What would it would be an amphibious. I hate to even say car or truck, but it's an amphibious boat that is motorized, right? So it can be driven on the road. Let's say on the road. And when they first showed this thing, um, from a distance, it just looked like a regular, almost like a small ramp boat. You know, like you look at the World War II movies and the guys storming Normandy, and they had the ramp boats would come up and they drop the ramp, and guys would run off. Um, this looked like something like that, but apparently this thing was purposely built for, I don't know what the exact purpose was, but it was that same design idea. It had a ramp on the front, and the guy went out and he stood next to this thing, and as it turns out, it has, and somebody could probably find pictures of this. Um, the tires on it were 8 feet tall, at least 8 feet tall, maybe even taller, maybe 9 feet. So these giant tires on it, and it had a diesel engine powering each wheel. It had four wheels, had a diesel engine on each wheel, and this thing was 62 feet long, 62 feet long, and like interiors. I think the interior opening was like, I don't know, 12 feet or something, some crazy numbers. But anyway, there's, hey Nick, glad you're here, Nick. But there's some crazy stuff out there that is machinery that we probably, most of us have never seen before. But you think about stuff like that, and this massive amphibia boat thing, and what it took to build that. And I don't know if it's the only one they ever made. And they said on land the thing would do 28 miles an hour. That's a massive machine to be moving 28 miles an hour. Just saying. Just saying. Robert, I could have bought two amphibia cars 20 or so years ago, and I regret not buying them now. Not a good car or boat, but would be fun. Yes. Yeah, they would be. But anyway, so as I was looking at another video, this is the question for y'all. Let's see. Wait a minute. Dave, sounds like you're talking about the 1935 Arctic exploration vehicle. I don't think that's it. I don't think that one's it. I know what you're talking about. I know I've seen pictures of that one. This thing is in, I think in Tennessee, Nashville, I think. And Clark says Lark LX, LARC LX. I don't know. That's the funny part. I don't remember the specifics of it. Let me see if I can pull it up. That's probably it. I think that's it. And it's just unbelievable how big this thing is. So let's see if I can. I'll pull up a picture of it so you all can see what I'm talking about. Give me just 1 second. Ah, that's not what I wanted. Hold on a second. Got to try another one. No, that didn't work. Okay. But I was just so amazed at how big this thing was. Why won't it do that? It is not letting me open these pictures. Okay. Well, I don't know why I can't open it. Anyway, Lark, LARCLX. I'm going to try one more time. I don't know why it's not letting me open these pictures. Okay, this is disheartening. Anyway, um, they have this. I guess they have one of these at this museum up in Tennessee, and it is just incredible, incredible machine. But all kinds of stuff like that um, we don't know it's out there. Okay, we're gonna try one more. I think this one might work. Okay, now I got one. I gotta wait for the. Here we go. Look at the size of that thing. I mean, you can see there's guys sitting up on top of this massive, massive machine. I would like to see one in operation, but I would just like to see it in person, just to get next to it, because it's an incredible looking machine. And there's other pictures of that under Lark LX show like people they're driving a tank out of it. In fact, that I think that has a tank in it. I think there's a tank sitting in that right now. So anyway, that was just one thing that I wanted to mention. Robert says, "Have you seen the amphibious RVs?" I've probably seen them, but not really paid any attention to them. Dave says he sent a pic, but let me see if it. Nope, that's not it. That's this. That's the one from Alaska, or the. Yes, the Dawn found a picture of it. So yeah, same thing, same thing. Um, but here's another one that I want you to look up. Uh, let me. I have a question for you, and the question is, what year did Ford stop making the Ranchero? Now you're thinking to yourself, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. And what year did they stop making the Ranchero, and why? That's kind of the question for you. Now, obviously, there's some trick to this, so I want you to think about that for a little bit, because this is information. Because I love, again, um, the idea of one-offs and stuff that people have built. Like you look back and you see uh, the Mastero, right? That Ford let people build um, for them. They were modified, but this question is kind of a trick question. Um, there's like I said, the Ford. Um, stopped making the Ranchero in a certain year. And I'm not going to try to tell you what that answer is, but there's something specific about that makes things interesting. Um, I'm going to show you in just a minute once we get all the get some input. So, okay. So along with that, let's just say this: Chevy made the El Camino. First one was what, 59? I think it was 59 El Camino, and they made the El Camino all the way up into the mid 80s, like 88, I think, something like that. Robert probably knows that specifically. Um, I'm going to say 88 was my guess. But what they did in 78, they changed the body design, right? They went to more of a mid-size because the El Camino was based on a Chevelle body, and then they kind of changed the dimensions of it and made it smaller. Let's see. Okay, so we'll go back a couple questions. Nick says, "What's the other one that the Army used? The duck one? Yeah, there was a duck boat. Then those are still being used up in, I forget where it's at. There was a big controversy over that because they had one of those flip over or something, and people died. But they still use those duck boats. Maybe it's out in Seattle somewhere. They still use the duck boats. The Don may have found it. Sent you a pic. Okay. And Robert says he wants one. Yeah. Michael Tom Carter Barn Find Hunter did a show on that. I don't know if you're talking about the Lark or the other question I have for you. Troy, I saw one when I had to take Loadmaster training at Fort Eustis. It was on display. Okay. That would be cool to see. I mean, it's a really big, massive machine. Mr. Mikey's son-in-law picked, I guess, up a Toyota Stout pickup, first gen, in Brownsville, Texas, 4-cylinder, 192. You know what? There was one of those for sale on Facebook Marketplace just this past week, a 67 Stout. When I saw that thing, I said, that is an ugly, ugly, ugly truck. And it is. No doubt. That is an ugly truck. But I saw what it said, Stout, on the dash, and I was like, never heard of that. So, thank you, Mr. Mikey. Just so happens I saw one on Marketplace. Rick Stevenson, we had one in the Military Museum in Green Cove Springs, just south of Jacksonville. Okay. So there were multiples of these produced. I don't know where they, if they stopped or, how many they made and how many are still around. Ed Cucciarella, 7980. Okay. That's a good answer. Rick Stevenson says 79 on the Ranchero. Clark, it can carry a 40-foot shipping container or 200 troops and is 26 feet wide. Yes. Thank you, Clark. Simone checking in. Hi, Barry. Hope you're well. Hi, everyone. Hello, Simone. Glad you're here. Robert, IRC 79 as they stopped making the car, but I don't remember. Okay. 79. Lynn says 72. Nope. 72 is too far back. Troy says, I think it was 79. And Robert, so much as hi, Robert. And Don says 79 lagging sales. And that's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Robert, Alcy probably had their version longer. Probably so. And Robert, 88 last year for the El Camino. Yes. Dave, I want to say 79, but I have a feeling I've seen them based on 80s Ford mid-sized. And Terry Keithley also says 79. Okay, here's the thing. I did not know this. Another one that I happen to find. This is why I like seeing videos of these oddball type of things. Apparently, they did basically stop producing what we know as the Ranchero in 79. However, from what I understand, there were 212 of these built between 80 and 82, I think is what the number says. Check this out. And you look at that and you first see it and you go, hey, wait, that's an El Camino. No, it's not. That is a Ford Fairmont, also known as the Ford Durango. Yeah, who knew that? It says between 79 and 82 is when they were built. They only came with a thrift power 6-speed or 6-cylinder engine. Sorry, not 6-speed. There were 212 conversions known to have been made by National Coach Works. So, the Ford Durango prototype was designed and built by Jim Stevenson and his sons. The custom body work was done at their shop in Pacoima, California. The prototype was made with hand-fabricated sheet metal and then was sent to GK Fiberglass in Sylmar, California to have the fiberglass molds made to produce the pickup bed and tailgate for production of the Durango. The rights to produce and sell the Durango to Ford dealerships are licensed to National Coach Works after Hal Koch, a friend of Jim Stevenson who worked at National Coach, saw the prototype. So I have never, ever, ever seen one of those. But I kind of like it. You know, there were Fairmonts out there that they're basically like Fox bodies. And they had there's Fairmonts out there that have V8s in them and 4 speeds, and the wagon combination is a really rare thing to find with any kind of real drivetrain in it. But I have never seen one of those. Never seen one. Okay, sorry, Simone. Just quick hello. I have a busy day as I only have one more day to get the Cortina ready for the NEC Restoration Show. Okay. Glad you stopped in. Robert, I remember that now. Don't have seen one at a swap meet once. And Nick, that's based off the Fairmont. Yes, it is. And Dave, that's what I was thinking, but couldn't think of Fairmont. Yes. Yeah, it's not a Ranchero. That's why I said it's kind of a trick question. It follows the idea, El Camino, Ranchero, right? They went back and forth on their designs. So this was meant to be the future of the Ranchero. So yes, I know. I kind of lobbed one out there. The Dawn, wow, I've never seen one. I wonder if they were released to specific market areas. There's information online about this. There's a Wikipedia page and everything. The thing is, if you look at the back section, okay, so you follow the roof line down and you come back to what would be the tailgate. The really bad design feature here is the tailgate opens. However, it opens and it moves the taillights and it moves the license plate. So it's not like a real tailgate. It's just the back panel of the car, the tail panel, that they cut loose to open it up. So interesting concept. Robert, that was better looking than the last generation Ranchero. I agree. Nick says, dude, Fox body platform, you can make a heck of a ride out of that. Yeah, that's what they don't realize is the Fairmonts followed a lot of the Fox body design. I mean, it's very, very much, from what I understand, the same vehicle underneath. Nick, shame it didn't take off. Yeah, well, they never really pushed it hard enough, I don't think. Harvey says, well, I never saw one. They missed something in the taillight department. Thrift power. LOL. Yeah, thrift power. But there is a page, a wiki page. There are pictures out there of all this. But like I said, I like to find oddball stuff like this. I really like to see it happen. It's so neat to see some designs that make sense and some that don't, but it's still neat to see them. Ed, looks like Ford is bringing back the Ranchero. Oh, really? I haven't seen anything with that. And he says, what's next? The Pinto. You never know. Mr. Mikey saw a 2023 Ford Maverick pickup today. The Maverick used to be a car. Yes. Yeah. And Lynn, that car looks like a large Subaru Brat. Very similar look. You know, even the El Camino shared that a very similar roof line. That's just kind of how it is, because all they really did with any of these was modify like a station wagon chassis. You know, now I think the Fairmont would have been a unibody, right? And I think the El Camino was actually on a frame. So there is, you know, some stuff going on there. Clark, is Red Dave still going to be a 4x4? You never know. You never know. I have I have to let that car percolate, sit on the side. It's too many other things are in front of it at the moment as well. So, anyway, you never know. But that would be, yeah, it could still be a 4x4. You know, I'll tell you this. There's another thing that I've been following on. There's a Facebook page. It's called I think Body Swaps and something or other. I don't remember the whole name of it, but these guys are taking all kinds of stuff like European cars, all kinds of vehicles, and they're putting them on a more modern chassis, which is, you know, kind of like I did with Frankentruck. I took the old 68 cab and put an '06 chassis. But some of the stuff they're coming up with is really, really cool. I mean, Austin Americas, I've seen Mini Coopers, and they're putting them on like Mazda, Miata chassis and different things like that. But I bring this up because I saw an ad today on Marketplace for a Discovery Range Rover or whatever, or Range Rover Discovery, which we all know they're junk. I mean, they are. Just come out and admit it. They're junk. They were junk off the showroom, junk. And what I was thinking was, you know, they sell those primarily on looks, right? It looks like a tough off-road vehicle, but at least the ones we buy that are produced or mass produced for the you know the market, the look vehicles, they fall apart. You know, they really do. But I thought it'd be cool, take one of those bodies and put it on like a real four-wheel drive, you know, Americanized chassis, and just fix it. Get rid of all the electronics, all the junk that they put in those things, but keep the look of it, but put it on, you know, a Bronco chassis or a Blazer or something like that, and give it some real oomph. I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to build, but I don't have time for that either. Bob, the last generation Rancheros were Torino based. Yes, that is correct. The Grand Torino, for sure, and the previous Torino, the regular Torino as well. Shane, Ranchero is a sauce at Taco Bell. You can go very fast to the bathroom after eating some. Yeah. Anyway, so if anybody else, if you see something like that, you know, an oddball vehicle, then yeah, let me know. I mean, send me an image or, you know, a link of some sort, and it's fun to share that stuff. I'll say this: I have a twisted vision of making my own version of a station wagon Mustang. Now, if anybody does this, you already know that this was my idea. Just say it. This was my idea to do this. Okay, if you look at, and I probably could pull up some images, But if you look at a fastback 69 or 68 or whatever, and you look at the angle of the back window, right? So the coupe is a different kind of transition, and the fastback is more tapered, let's say. Um, I've been looking for a roof specifically for that purpose because I've shown this before. I think I saw this picture that I think is a pretty cool car. I'll have to look. If I don't have it, I'll just have to explain it. Um, I may have deleted it, but I had a picture of a '68 Camaro with a Chevelle, like a '69 Chevelle roof on it. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And I have to say, I think they did a fantastic job on it. I do. I like it. I like the way it looks. It's unique. It stays with the station wagon vibe. It stays with the Camaro vibe. Um, I just like it. It's different. Okay. Well, as I was doing some research, if you look up the was it the Dodge Magnum? Okay, 2005 through whatever it is, '09, somewhere in that series. They have a very similar roof line or glass line that the fastback Mustang has. So I was looking at the idea of using that roof line on basically a fastback Mustang and creating a Mustang station wagon. I know it's ridiculous, it's crazy, but I can see it. I can see that working together because of the angles of the glass. You want to keep that pattern. You don't want it some crazy transition that doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking about for the Mustang. Okay, Robert points out that El Caminos are all body on frame. Yes, thank you. Rick, I'm pretty sure that the current incarnation of the Range Rover Land Rovers are built in India. Well, that probably explains a lot. Something garage. I like it. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about this. I think that's sharp. I really, really do. I'd be oohing and on over that at a car show. I just really think it's cool. Robert, finding that roof is going to be difficult. I like it. I'd like it, but I'd also like a '70 Chevelle wagon. Yes, I'm with you. That's why I was looking at the Magnum 500. It's a newer, more available roof. Yeah, Dave Tyson says in your spare time. Yeah. The Dawn sent you a pic of one, I think, 67. Yeah, now that one's kind of hideous. I'll be honest. We'll pull that one up. That one's kind of. I'll be honest. That one's just kind of hideous. Um, I don't know what they were really thinking with that particular uh, vehicle, but all they really did on that one was stretch the roof, and it just doesn't work. It's either 65 or 6, um, and that's just really, really, really bad. It almost looks like that was a Photoshop. I hope that's not a real thing that they made, because it looks like a Photoshop. But yeah, that's not how that works. That looks like a Photoshop deal. I'm really hoping that's just a Photoshop, because that's really bad. Let me get that off of there. That's disturbing. Oh, awesome, Jeff. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's awesome, man. Keeping it real. Thank you, Jeff. Let's see. Yeah, something, something. Yes, that Camaro wagon is cool. Yes, it is. And Dawn, check that 65. Yeah. Harvey, Barry, if you make a Mustang station wagon, I hope you don't end up like the kid with the EV at the drag strip. Yeah. Chris Greenaway, glad you're here. Just got off work. Well, hope all went well. Dave Tyson, Fairmont station wagon. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. Basically, this Fairmont. Now they also had a version of that car that was a two door that had a small back window type of deal, and I don't know if they. I think they may have used that vehicle, not the wagon, but I don't know for sure. Again, there's pictures of that Ford Durango on the web. Nick, just get you some square tube, sheet metal, and some lath screws. Homemade wagon for $50. Yes, yes, I want it to look like that too. Just take Bondo and shape it. Speaking of, since you mentioned that, here's a little junkyard thing I'll bring up. And I may have talked about this before. I remember a Comet that was up at the junkyard, 60 something, 65, I don't know. And I don't know, I know what they were thinking, but what they did was just horrible. They tried to make this, I say Comet, I'm pretty confident it was a Comet. They tried to make it look like a fastback. Okay? Now think about if you can envision a Comet or not, but picture that as a fastback. So even like if you took let's just say a standard Mustang, a coupe, and you wanted to make it look like a fastback, well, they didn't use any metal at all. They used Bondo. I don't know where this car came from. I don't know what and I don't know if they used any kind of form exactly or not, or if it was just all Bondo. They built sail panels that were like 3 feet long that went from the top of the roof back to the quarter panel, and they never finished it. It's like they got wise and lost interest. But it was layer after layer after layer of Bondo. Now, again, I don't know if they started with some sort of form inside to keep it there. I don't know. All I know is they never finished it, and it was just like they just plastered Bondo onto it and never sanded it. So it was just like this wavy thing. Two of these things. It was really bad. And I remember taking a hammer and like hitting it, and it just sounded like you're hitting a big block of wood. It was really bad. So that's how we do it, Nick. We just use Bondo. Something. Maverick station wagons from Brazil are sweet. Okay, I don't know if I've seen one. I may have, but I don't know. Robert, I'm not a fan of the factory wagons that had a badly extended roof line where they just tacked onto the bubble instead of making a whole roof. Yes. And that's kind of there was like I said, the Fairmont, they had some sort of, I don't even know there's probably pictures of it out there where you can see the roof line that I was talking about. But it was basically it's just that. It just had a little back window and a tapered back glass, and I think that's all they did was take that and cut it off, to make it look like the El Camino or Ford Ranchero. Chris, but they did make the Mustero, so yeah, they did. Doyle, have you thought about adding Jest? Adding what? To your paint booth so you can paint in any temperature. No, I don't know what you're saying. Jest? I don't know what that means. Is that some sort of heater or something? Nick probably had a Carolina squat with that much. Sure, it wasn't drywall mud. No, it was Bondo. It it was Bondo. Doyle, have I thought? Oh, adding heat? No. Um, the only heat that I have available is my mini split, and that keeps this space comfortable. And again, painting is not a priority to me. It is not. It is not my livelihood. It's not. It's not my focus. Um, so if I paint one car a year, that's probably more than I ever plan to do. To be honest, um, I've said it before. Paint just it's my stressor. uh, I would rather do metal work all day long. So I'm not gonna dedicate all that it's going to take to make that a really any season paint booth. It's just not worth my time because I don't want to do it. That it's pretty infrequent. Nick, how many hours do you typically put into a paint job if you had to guess with maybe minor body work? I really can't guess. I just can't. I was keeping track of the work being done on the Bronco, and what went off the rails was I had to fix a bunch of sheet metal work to get it right, and so that changed my whole kind of timeline. Um, but I can't say. I really can't say. Um, you could easily have 100, 150 hours in doing the paint work, prep work, all that stuff. I don't, so I really can't. I can't say, and a lot of it too depends on how people approach it. I've seen plenty of pictures on the Facebook um, Mustang pages where somebody says, "Ooh, I got my Mustang. It's all painted," and I look at it, and they did what I call I would say as a cosmetic paint job. They painted the outside, and they didn't do anything to like the jams, or they didn't do anything to uh, the gaps, or it was just like they just taped off the glass, did a good scuff job on it, kind of like a Mako paint job, and painted the thing. So yeah, it's all one pretty color now, but it's not a real paint job in my opinion. There's a lot more to it than that. So I really can't say specifics because what may be minor body work may not really be minor body work. It's just there's too many variables. Shane, you remember the extremely dangerous jumper seats on the Subaru Brats? Who thought that up? Who thought up that contraption? Well, they had seatbelts on them. They did. I'm pretty sure they had seatbelts, so they were safe. But hey, just remember prior to that, how many of us just laid down in the back of the pickup truck, right? I can tell you I've made many road trips with my dad and other people where there were 3 people in the cab and 3 people hanging out in the back of the bed. So I'd rather have some seats. At least I have something to hang on to. Robert, it's easy to add heat to a paint booth for us in the South where summer is 9 months long. It's a lot harder to cool a booth. That is true. And yes, the Dodge Rampage. Yep, you're right. Charles, okay, I was washing dishes in the kitchen and you're talking about making a 69 fastback into a wagon. You're scaring me. Seriously. I didn't say a 69 fastback. I just said a fastback. It could be a 69 coupe with 69 quarter panels and a fastback and a station wagon roof on it. I probably wouldn't do it to a real fastback, but I could do it to one that's all modified. Wouldn't make any difference at that point. Nick says just paint faster, Robert. Yeah, yeah. Well, and right now we're getting into we're getting close to the what would be the sweet timeline for paint, in my opinion. I want it to be 80 degrees outside. I don't want it 100 degrees. I don't want it so hot that it's rapidly drying everything before it has a chance to flow. So it's getting close to that good good paint time. Chris, paint is the worst thing. People hate being in a body shop. Hell, and painters hate feeling pressure. Yeah, yeah. I don't. No, I don't. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Clark, Red Dave could become a 4x4 station wagon. Just saying. I'm not against that. Not against that. Tall Red Easel, 550. I want Nick Moss to reveal he's really Leonardo DiCaprio. There he is. I'm king of the world. Thank you, Tall Red Easel. Charles, Crunchy Cobra Jet update ordered Dynacorn today. Taillight panel, both doors, right quarter. Okay. Good deal. I'm looking forward to having all that stuff show up. That'll be good. And I'm looking forward to getting back on it. I got to get the Bronco done. Bronco's got my blinders on. Finish the Bronco. Get it out of the way. And then I can really focus on the Crunchy Cobra Jet. So very good. Very good. Okay. Let me see if I have any other... okay. Oh, let's see. So Charles, firewall both inner quarter side structure, deck lid and rear valance. I don't know what the number is. Nick, I don't know if I would want a blinded paint job area. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. Definitely don't want that. Okay, it's about that time. I need to get back in the house and see what's going on in there. Oh, let's see. Chris, problem is the painters that have too many projects that can't keep the timeline square. Barry seems to only do it when he's in the mood. Yes, that's pretty much it. And I want to just stay focused on it when the temperatures are right, for sure. Tom says, hi, Barry, 70 Mustang seat. I'm not sure what that means, but glad you're here. Doyle's supposed to be 79 degrees this Thursday in Tennessee. I would think Georgia would be warm too. Yes, it's going to be nice Thursday and Friday. Nick says Leo out. Okay. Robert Nightall, got to go turn the compressor off as I forgot again. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'll be back next Monday, the 27th. We'll see what I can get done on the Bronco between now and then. Hopefully it's a good bit. The more I get done, the happier I'll be, because I just need to have it ready to go by mid-April. So I want to thank you all for being here, participating, all that stuff. And I look forward to getting another video out soon. I will be putting out a video on my other channel. I did an oil change on my air compressor. Might be valuable to somebody to see that. So that'll be coming out the next few days. So I'll have that out. And that'll be it for now. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.